Hello and welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast. My name is Jess and I am excited to be here with you all today. But before we jump into our content, I have some basic information that I want to cover with you. All right, let's kick off our day here today by taking a quick tour of your audience console. And we're going to start with the questions window. So if you haven't already said hi, there is a whole audience of cool humans out there, so reach out and give a wave to the other members of the Actual Tech Media community. Now, keep in mind that if you do have any technical issues today, a browser refresh is going to fix just about anything. But if those tech gremlins are clinging on today, no problem. Just throw a comment in the question section and our crew will be there to help. We also want this to be an informative webinar for you, so throughout today's EcoCast, we hope you'll get engaged and ask all your burning questions. Not only will we have team members responding to you over a live chat, we will also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of our presentations. Now, if we don't get to your question during the live webinar today, don't worry, because the awesome experts that we have here with us will be following up after we wrap. All right, next up, there's going to be lots of cool aha moments on the EcoCast today. And if you want to share those with your community, we've made it nice and easy for you. You can use the Twitter button right there in your audience console, and the hashtag for today's EcoCast will be automatically added to your post. All right, our last stop on this guided tour, be sure to check out the handouts tab for some awesome resources and takeaways from our speakers here today. We have an info pack collection, solution briefs, white papers, data sheets, free trials, ebooks, upcoming webinars, and more. So many great resources, so be sure to go explore. Now, if that wasn't enough fun, we also have some exciting prizes that we'll be giving away throughout today's EcoCast. I'm going to tell you a bit more about those later on, but a few quick reminders for you all. First, you do need to be here live in attendance at the EcoCast in order to qualify to win a prize, and we will follow up with all of you after we wrap. Now, all winners must submit an IRS Form W-9 to Actual Tech Media, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. Now, if you don't know what those full T's and C's are, that's fine. We've got the full thing for you. Just head on over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find them waiting for you there. Now, the absolute most important thing to remember is that we love getting all your insightful questions during these live webinars. In fact, we love it so much that we actually have a special additional prize for all you inquisitive folks out there. So in today's EcoCast, we will be giving away a prize for the best question asked in each of our live sessions. Now, the expert speakers and teams will review all questions asked after we wrap the webinar, which means that even if your question does not get read out in a live session, there is still a chance to win. If you are a lucky winner here today and you would like to donate the value of your prize, we have several wonderful organizations that we partner with. So let us know when we follow up about your big win, and we'll get that rolling for you. Again, we are so happy to have you all here with us live at the EcoCast today, and we want to keep that good feeling going, so let's connect on social media. Reach out and connect with Actual Tech Media on Twitter and on LinkedIn. We have lots of great content, and we always want to hear from you. Now, if you're looking for more awesome content and resources right after we wrap the EcoCast today, be sure to subscribe to the Actual Tech Media channel on YouTube. Another fun way to win a prize and, hey, grow this awesome community is to refer an industry friend or a coworker to the Actual Tech Media webinar series. Now, you'll find a link to do that right in your handouts tab, and you will also be automatically redirected at the end of the webinar. And both you and your coworker or friend could win a prize, and we hold those drawings every month. So be sure to refer a friend because, it could quite literally be a win-win situation. Next, we have a cool opportunity for all the decision makers out there to get connected with new and emerging tech and innovative vendors. Here's how it works. All you need to do is click on the link in your handouts tab, fill out a quick application, and the Actual Tech crew will then match you with some vendors that we think you should probably be chatting with based on your needs. There will also be fun opportunities that you get to choose to join in, like surveys, test runs, new solutions, extended demos, and so on. You'll get some chances to win extra prizes, you'll chat with great people, and you'll learn about the hottest new trends in tech. So be sure to apply, or hey, send that link to a decision maker on your team. Now, I want to take a quick minute here to remind you all about one of my favorite resources, and that is ransomware.org. You can find out everything you need to know about ransomware, how to prepare, prevent, and recover. This site is jam-packed with information, helpful tips, checklists, strategic approaches, case studies, everything you need in one place. So wherever you are in your ransomware preparedness journey, there is something for you at ransomware.org. Go check it out and start exploring. All right, I have one more exciting resource I have to tell you about today, and that is the Gorilla Guide Book Club. It's going to give you access to free enterprise IT books authored by top industry experts, so you can stay up to date on trending enterprise technology. And yes, these books will work on your Kindle, your mobile device, and as I said, they are completely free. You can download these awesome resources at gorilla.guide, and there's a link for you in that handouts tab as well. All right, well, we have covered a lot of important things already, and I don't know about you all, but I am excited to dive in. So let's get going.
All right, well, let's jump into the good stuff, my friends. Today we are talking about building a robust security awareness program. And I am looking forward to this conversation today because I'm guessing that as we approach the end of the year, that many of you are going through that process of annual review. Maybe you're making some improvements or revisions to your security programs. So if you are today, this is going to be a great check against what you're already kind of looking at. And if you are not going through that process, or if you have not updated your security programs in a while, this is your call. This is your call to action to get that rolling, because these programs are not static. They are evolving, living things that need iterative attention. They're like the silly little house plants that I have in my office that would obviously survive if they were living in the wild. They would be just fine. But indoors, for some reason, if I look at them wrong, they all die. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyways, this is a whole other webinar. We'll talk about houseplants. But for today, we're going to talk about security programs, which also need a lot of ongoing and iterative love. Now, I'm hoping that your security programs are not as delicate as my indoor houseplants, but it does need some attention. So here's the good news. Today, with the help of a top industry expert from KnowBe4, we are going to explore some cutting edge strategies, best practices, tools, tips, all the info you need to take some important steps towards strengthening your organization's security defenses. We've got a lot of good stuff in store for us. Let me introduce myself one more time. My name is Jess Steinbach. I'm a moderator here at Actual Tech Media, and my friends and fellow moderators, Scott Becker, Mackenzie Puddesy, and Keith Ward are here with us on live chat today. And one more piece of exciting information, almost more exciting than all your moderators. It's neck and neck, really, which one's more exciting. And that is, of course, prizes. Today on the EcoCast, you could win one of three $300 Amazon gift cards that we will be giving away at the end of our session. So stay tuned for that. We're going to kind of go through one of our presentations, and then I'm going to knock out all these prizes right in one go. So get ready. It's a powerhouse of prizes. Now, you do need to be here live and present at the EcoCast in order to win, and you do need to meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. If you're not sure what those T's and C's are, we have them linked for you in the handouts tab. So you can head over to that handouts tab and check those out there. All right. Well, I'm pretty excited to get into our keynote today because I get to chat with Lindsay, and she is one of my favorite keynoters. I love chatting with her on an EcoCast. She always has something fun and interesting to bring to the conversation. So, of course, we are chatting today with Lindsay Kay, Vice President of Threat Intelligence, Human Security. Lindsay, happy to have you back here at the EcoCast. Let's get our cameras enabled, and I'll bring you on out here with me. Well, hi, Lindsay. Great to have you back here with us.
Great. Thank you for having me.
All right, so we are coming up towards the end of the year, which is one of those weird things where I'm both excited and also cannot believe that we're here already. But as we approach the end of 2024, you and I were talking, Lindsay, that it might be fun. You've done a lot of these keynotes for us, which is amazing and always a great time. And we've covered a lot of information. And so we thought it might be kind of fun to sort of recap some of the major elements that we've talked about over the year and then look ahead at trends that we can expect to see as we go into 2025. So are you ready to kick this off? This little time capsule chat?
I am. I'm excited to do it too.
All right, let's get to it. So we're going to start out. We're going to hit on, I think, kind of three major trends today. We're going to talk a little bit about the human element. I think this is a major trend that we're seeing. And then we're going to talk a little bit about AI because we cannot have any conversation in the world today without talking about AI. And then we're kind of going to bring it back a little bit towards that human side and talk about workforce transformation because this is still a part of our day-to-day lives. So let's start out with the human element. I've got a few questions for you here. Lindsay, as organizations are heading into the new year, looking back at 2024, how do you think they can start to first identify, that's important, and then prioritize the most critical, the most important security threats that employees should be trained on in order to recognize and react?
Okay, so I'm going to start with one that we all know and we all love, but really kind of seems to repeat the patterns that we see every year. So we see every year that there's a very cyclical nature to the flavors of threats that we see in regard to social engineering and similar types of cyber threats that heavily target users. So a very simple example that we all know and love is phishing. So what we see is that the lures are used and then they remain very topical. They often exploit current events or current relevant themes. So now that we're approaching the holiday season, end of the year, for example, we can definitely expect to see these lures using things like package delivery notifications, any sort of deals that may seem too good to be true on popular products. So under guise of things like Black Friday or holiday sales. And then we also see other shopping related enticements at this time. So popular online shopping times are also very often used by threat actors to conceal things like account takeover attacks, as it's easier for them to blend in with the other legitimate users during such a high traffic time. So while we can't predict every move that threat actors will make, what we do see is these types of patterns that emerge every year. And because phishing and other social engineering techniques remain effective ways threat actors can victimize organizations, reminding users to be wary of these so-called deals and identifying the types of lures that they may see during this time can really go a long way.
All right, so those are some good things to be aware of. Lindsay, do you have any fun or interesting or exciting ideas for the audience out there on how they can address this through training and kind of work in more sustainability with that? Because burnout, we know, is a big topic of conversation this year.
So yes, we are all super familiar, and we've actually talked about, I think, previously, a lot of the positives and negatives of security training, specifically about some of those dreaded phishing tests, like you mentioned, that we've all seen. And we've also talked about, we know that obviously phishing will happen, and some of the most sophisticated phishing messages will even evade our best detection strategies. And it's definitely possible that employees will fall victim to them. So what we can think about doing is giving employees bite-sized, direct, and prescriptive training and resources, and ensuring that they're also telling them what they should do in the case that something happens. And that's really super key. So most employees don't really have the time or attention span, especially now with all the end of the year stuff that's coming up, to sit through a lot of those long trainings or quizzes. So if we're able to provide this kind of direct information, it could be a lot more memorable. And in the case of an incident, or in case they receive a suspicious message, it might make it easier for them to do the right thing. So when we start to go into 2025, if we can start looking for other ways to continue to move the security burden as a whole off of employees in general and back onto us, the security professionals at our organizations, and the tools that we use to combat these types of issues, this can also make it substantially more effective to combat the inevitable cyber threats we will face rather than putting it all on our employees.
See, I like that, Lindsay, and I think you're feeding into where I want to go next. But I do have to say, very quick shout out for the chunked learning, those micro learning modules. I think are really a way to go and a way to you can kind of hit somebody for 5 minutes in between a meeting and make sure that you get that training in. So as tempting as it is to do those long 4-hour training sessions, I really think those micro learning bites are the way to go. But the direction you were taking us, Lindsay, that I want to get into is we're talking a lot these days about security culture and creating a positive security culture, and especially that's just going beyond the check boxes, right? Just going beyond compliance or the to-do list, and actually really inspiring that ownership from our teams. So have you seen any successes or best practices there that you want to talk about?
So I think a big one here is that in addition to continuing to move the security burden off of our employees and onto tools organizations use and showing them that we are trying to do that is really creating trust with your employees. So if employees aren't fearful of facing something like a negative repercussion, if they report an accidental click, because it can happen to anybody, they're probably far more likely to report the error rather than try and cover it up and not be worried about their job or things like that. In addition, looking for different ways to incentivize employees to actually patch their systems. So not just like giving them things to do so, but the most important part of this is making it as easy as possible to do so and creating as little disruption as possible for their work. Because like I said, everyone's busy. Nobody really has time to have a lot of computer downtime. It's much more likely that you'll get broader compliance from them and your organization's security program will benefit from this.
See, that's the thing. It ends up benefiting across the board, right? It's really creating that culture that hits everybody, that benefits the entire organization. And so it really shouldn't just be a checkbox. And I love some of the ideas you've given us. And I do think that coming from that place of safety is maybe the first one, is a good place to start. Safety in being able to identify, and maybe make some mistakes in terms of identifying the wrong email, but also safety in terms of asking questions, not making someone feel silly if they don't know, if they, by now, if maybe we hope everyone knows what phishing is, but allowing for somebody to not understand fully what that means. So I love
Yeah.
that.
And absolutely making sure that it doesn't disrupt your workflow, because nobody wants to have, 45 minutes of downtime on their computer or search for the right patches and still not be in compliance. So the easier you can make it, the more likely people are to do it and do it quickly.
Absolutely. Yes. This is an age-old truth. Okay. Well,
Right.
speaking of making things easy, I'm going to transition us over into AI, which is maybe not easy, but I do think has the potential to simplify and has the potential to take away some of these burnout opportunities. Also, maybe possibly contributing in a sense of overwhelm. I think there's a lot of pros and cons to AI, and there's a big, deep, large conversation to unpack here. But let's zoom in a little bit on it. We're sticking to our greatest hits. So let's talk about AI and how organizations here can leverage, in particular, AI and data analytics, specifically to personalize security training, or possibly maybe looking at monitoring the effectiveness of their existing security programs.
Sure. So a lot of the previous focus that we've had this year on AI was as a defensive tool, but from a detection perspective. But obviously, we can certainly imagine what a personalized security training program could look like. So we've already discussed some of the temporally relevant phishing lures that are used by threat actors, but this concept also applies to those who wish to use phishing tests on their employees. So where AI comes in is the automatic selection of timely, relevant lures, and even the idea of differentiating them enough that they don't scream obvious phishing tests, which we all are familiar with, as word gets around the company about the latest tests coming out and how to avoid it. So additionally, many organizations require a lot of employees to take those cybersecurity awareness trainings, many of which are managed by some training administrators within the company. And that takes time and resources away from other activities that they might have to do. So here, maybe AI could possibly use to select modules or learning scenarios based on what might be the most relevant to the employee's job function and previous training for performance, based on what they've been good at, less good at, where there's opportunities to kind of really help educate them more. And while many of us won't have the resources, I totally understand, to pursue a program like this right off the bat, the concept really provides something for us to consider as we look at how AI can be used in a variety of defensive scenarios at our organizations.
I like that a lot. There's some things we can do now, and then maybe there's some eventual places that we can go with this. Um,
Of course.
and there's always more. That's the cool thing with AI, is it's evolving very rapidly. So
Yeah.
okay, Lindsay, we've got a few minutes left here. I'm going to sneak in our last kind of key topic that we wanted to dig into today, and that was workplace transformation. And what we mean by this is, 4 years ago, when everything that we thought we knew about how we work got thrown out the window, and for a lot of organizations, there was a complete revamp. And then I think over the
Mhm.
last 4 years, there's been sort of a flux, and some people have gone all the way back, and some people have stayed all the way remote, and some people have hybridized, and some people are shifting between those. And I think organizations are all over the map in how we approach what it means to be a workplace and a workforce. And I think we're probably not going to see that necessarily resettle in the same sense as we were used to 4 years ago, right? So if we accept a constant state of change and evolution as the state of being, then how can organizations adapt their security awareness programs to address the new risks and evolving risks of these remote and hybrid work models?
Sure. So, like you said, obviously, now we have more remote, hybrid, things really changed 4 years ago. But there's some really basic security controls that are helpful to implement for a lot of your remote workers, such as requiring users to be on a corporate VPN to access systems within the organization. So, especially those with sensitive data on them, doing things like requiring strong passwords and provide them a password manager to make this a lot easier so nobody's writing it down or keeping it in a notepad on their desktop. And then consider using things like cloud-based file sharing so that data is posted off of the user's device in the case that they're lost, stolen, compromised by malware, because you have so much less control of, how that device is managed versus when it's inside of your office. So we also see some other security issues that become more widespread when it's not as possible to monitor all user activity in a corporate network. So things like shadow IT and the use of personal devices for work purposes. So here, in addition to increasing awareness of the vast security issues that these actions create, if you implement something like basic protocols I described above, in addition to others that, maybe zero trust access, like we've talked about before, implementing and enforcing, data loss prevention policies, and then trying to enforce mobile endpoint security as well. Those are some great opportunities as the workforce remains remote, hybrid, it's a mixture of in-office as well.
I love this, Lindsay. I'm so sorry that we're going to have to wrap things up here, but I feel like we got to cover, again, some of our greatest hits from 2024, looking ahead into 2025. Do you have any final last thoughts or predictions or things we should have in mind as we wrap up this year?
So I think I've gotten to most of all of them. But yeah, no, enjoy the rest of 2024 and into 2025, and I'll see you next year.
And we look forward to many more chats with you, Lindsay. We've got a lot to cover in 2025, so we'll see you at a keynote again soon. All right, well, now it's your turn to answer a question. We are wondering, what is your timeline for making a change? What are you thinking that you got to make these changes real quick? Are you thinking that you have a little bit of time before you need to make any changes? So we are wanting to hear from you. What is your time frame? Again, this is not something that we're sharing. It just kind of helps us make sure that we're getting you the information when you need it. And not knowing is also an absolutely fine answer. Sometimes you're here for the research phase. Sometimes you're just kind of checking it out to see what kind of ideas you should be taking into account. And I think Lindsay gave us a great insight and place to start. And of course, we have a lot more information coming at us. So I'm giving you one last chance here, one last second, if you can get that poll filled out. And then we are going to move things right along in the EcoCast, because as you can see, we are kicking things off with a bang. Here to start out our EcoCast today, we've got the KnowBe4 team. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to our first expert presenter here with us to start us out, and that is Joanna Heisman, Senior Vice President of Strategic Insight and Research at KnowBe4. Now, Joanna, I know you have a lot of information planned for us. We've got a lot to get through, so I am going to hand things over to you. Take it away, Joanna.
Hi there, my name is Joanna Heisman, and welcome to our web event focused on security being everyone's business. So let's start off by talking about the threat landscape. And, it won't be surprising to any of you that these cyber criminals are after all of us all the time, everywhere, and in all contexts of life. So they're after your kids through their gaming apps. They're after through the elderly, through primarily phishing attacks. That's the voicemail phishing and or email attacks. And just about the rest of us, right? And so it's also everywhere, right? It's global. These cyber criminals are all over the world. And so there's no downtime, there's no vacation, there's no evening, there's no sleep, there's no rest, right? And so these attacks are happening 24/7. And, we're not just looking at these large cyber crime organizations. It could be certainly, many of these are very large and sophisticated crime groups, but it also could be a 17-year-old kid sitting in their grandparents' basement in Wisconsin, right? And so, the look and feel of a cyber criminal, could be different. However, they're thinking in the fact that, they attack anyone at any time of the day. And it's primarily for either, power, influence, or money. And so if you haven't had a chance to look, Verizon has a great report that they publish on an annual basis called the Data Breach Investigations Report. This past year, it shared that 68% of all breaches included something connected to the human element. Now, this is down from prior year. I believe prior year was about 72 or 74, somewhere in there. And we know that that favorable movement is directly attributed to companies focusing more on this human element. And so why do cyber criminals, use social engineering? Well, it works, right? And it's repeatable. Over and over, they can do the same thing. They know that humans at a large rate will fall for it, will be pulled into, their web, and it's easy, right? And so it's something that they know that they can get the outcome that they're looking for. And it's something that is relatively easy and inexpensive on their part to orchestrate. And so today we're just going to look at some phishing benchmark data and talk about a strong culture, and then talk about what the essential components of a good security awareness program look like. And so with people being the critical defense layer within any kind of security awareness program, know before, we are very fortunate that we have the most customers in the industry, and that brings us the most data. And the data is what we're really looking for here. It's, understanding, based on certain dynamics, how certain industries are performing, because every executive asks the same question: how do I compare to others in my industry? And so this past year, we took a look at about 54 million security phishing tests, about almost 12 million users across about 56,000 organizations. The breakdown between small, medium, large, you can see it there on screen. And we also looked at these 19 different industries. And we've looked at these year over year for the past 7 or 8 years. And so our comparative data is very strong as well. And what we're looking for is 3 things. We're looking for, what happens to the susceptibility of an employee clicking on something if they've had no training, no testing, no communication, right? So this is sincerely a baseline, right? And so what happens if a company does nothing? How does that contribute to potentially being compromised by a phishing attack? Then we look at it at the 90-day mark, right? So what happens if a company puts in place really good, content that is continuous and comprehensive, test their employees through phishing simulations, which just, increases their ability to be able to detect, report, and respond, right? And then the other piece of it is the communication. What happens over a 90-day period if you, look at for all those kind of water cooler places where your employees are, where you can drop messages or communicate to them, keeping security front of mind. And then the third thing we're looking at is what happens if you do all of that over a period of 12 months? Well, the results are pretty shocking, right? And very convincing that driving a security awareness program and increasing the culture within security in your organization will favorably contribute to your digital landscape being more secure, right? And so from a baseline perspective, what we saw is about 34.3% overall were susceptible to a phishing attack. And we call that a PPP, which is the phish prone percentage. So what's the probability someone will click into something that could make your organization vulnerable? Well, at a baseline perspective, it was over a third. Now think about that. Anytime, an email that is malicious comes over, there's the potential of a third of your organization clicking into it. Those numbers are way too high. And you can see the individual breakdown by by industry, and then by business size. So then what happens at that 90-day mark, right? And so what we're seeing there is that the results are, cut in half. We're seeing overall just under a 19% probability of phish prone percentage, right? And so that's excellent just after 90 days. But what happens after a year? We're talking single digit numbers. So we're talking overall at a 4.6%. So let's take somebody kind of on the high end. So if you are a large healthcare and pharmaceutical organization, from a baseline perspective, you're looking at about 51.4% phish prone percentage, meaning that over half of the population of your organization at any given time could click on something to make you vulnerable. Well, upon applying 90 days worth of, again, education, testing, and communicating, coupled with driving that more security-aware culture, we're talking large healthcare and pharmaceuticals now. It's down to 17.7%. And then we're talking at a year, we're talking 5.5%. So if you're running a large healthcare and pharmaceutical organization, knowing that if you have a very strong security awareness program, that you can reduce your vulnerability from 51% down to about 5.5%. That's pretty telling. And so I often get asked, who's most at risk, right? And from a small perspective, medium and large perspective, here's the top 3, right? So you see healthcare and pharmaceutical across all 3. That's not necessarily a change of order from last year, yeah, but not necessarily a change in them being in the top 3. You'll see education, hospitality. There's something that all of these have in common: healthcare, education, hospitality. Generally, we're talking about Businesses that have lots of different access points, generally have technology that is not as current, have individuals within their kind of employee base that aren't necessarily connected to a handheld device or a laptop, right? We're talking doctors, educators, people on the floor within possibly a hotel or a restaurant and so forth. And so we're seeing that these kinds of businesses that have, lots of different kinds of access points with lots of different people doing roles that are potentially disconnected could bring something that yields, a larger attention, right? And so then when we look over in the large category, we're seeing, insurance and energy and utility round out the top three there. In financial services, we didn't necessarily see a lot there certainly is activity, but it certainly wasn't in the top three for many, many years because it's, heavy regulated industry at this a long time, probably the first that criminals went after from a money play perspective. But now we see them finding new interest, a renewed interest, right, and getting back in there with insurance almost at half, PPP at a baseline perspective. So from an overall security perspective, the important thing when you're looking at engaging in a program and administering a program is that from day one, when employees come into the organization, there needs to be an understanding with what their role responsibility is towards creating a more secure environment. And let's be very clear, whatever you teach them, within their professional environment is 100% transferable to their personal life. And so the security culture is very different than an organizational culture, which is more of the goals and values and so forth. Security culture is more of the ideas, customs, social behaviors that influence overall security of an organization. And in essence, you get the culture that you ignore, right? And so if you're not setting those expectations and don't have the appropriate policies and aren't reinforcing the responsibility that the employees need to have from day one throughout their tenure within the organization, then that's a misstep, right? Because what you do to ensure that the right security knowledge, beliefs, and values are woven throughout the fabric of your organizational culture is critical from that day one, right? And it's more than just training. It's more than just communicating, right? It's ensuring that people kind of, when they are in their professional setting, are they seeing other people that are demonstrating good, secure behaviors? Are they seeing it being role modeled from the top down? Are they hearing other people talk about security like it is their responsibility? Are they seeing policies that are effectively, being like normalized versus, kind of dreaded, these are policies that we have to follow? Is it something that's becoming more of the kind of day-to-day, right? So it's all of these things that drive their, connection to being more responsible and how they behave. And all of that starts, again, from a really good core within the organization, understanding their role in all of this. And so when we look at kind of essential components for your organization, there's three realities of security awareness. And this actually came out of a book from one of my colleagues, Perry Carpenter. And he wrote the book Transformational Security Awareness. And, his findings are that, just because I'm aware doesn't mean that I care. If you try to work against human nature, you will fail. And what your employees do is always more important than what they know. So just because they're aware doesn't mean that they care, right? And so there's this kind of thinking that people go to work and it is work for them, right? That there's, kind of not that connection that they need to be, personally connected to, the day-to-day and the expectations of the day-to-day that are outside of their work, right? And so you need to position it in a way where employees do care. And so lots of organizations that I've talked to, either at my time when I was at Gartner or here at KnowBe4, are making that personal connection to, bringing it home to their friends, family, and loved ones so that they can, become more resilient there and protect what's most meaningful to them. Because, when you look at what your employees do, being more important than what they know, it's that instinctive moment. Have you given them enough education? Have you given them opportunities to practice enough where what they do is instinctive? And so, are you doing your phishing simulated tests on a quarterly basis? Well, 4 times a year just isn't enough. You're probably wasting your time and money because you don't have enough instances of comparable like templates to know whether or not there are gaps within the understanding of your employees, right? So, if you do 12 over the course of a year, 1 a month, which again, I think is on the light side. But if you're doing 12, at least you can, test out some easier templates, some more moderate ones, and then some more challenging ones, and see where your organization is struggling or having a challenge. And then, what I also find is companies that tie everything that they do to a click rate, that's not necessarily the right angle, right? Because what you need to do is look at it overall, because if you're using the templates that they're most used to and that they're good at detecting, then of course you're going to have low click rates. But are you challenging your workforce in more sophisticated attacks and things that maybe are, caught in the wild that you need to test out? And then it's just natural for your click rate to go up. But if you're doing kind of very limited engagement with them and giving them very limited opportunities to practice, then you're probably not understanding where your gaps are and you're missing some key information there. And so it is important that you ensure that there's the knowledge and the ability to practice and then the ability to communicate consistently. And so if we look at what we focus on is very small, right? It's right within that center of that particular lens. But cyber criminals, listen, the landscape is wide and it is theirs. And what they're looking for is 3 things. They're looking for the lazy, they're looking for the distracted, and they're looking for the people that just lack the knowledge. And you might think, oh, I'm never lazy and I'm never distracted. So listen, I'm a professional in this industry. I've been at this a long time. And there have been instances where I've been lazy. For example, you ever get one of those, LinkedIn emails that says, Joanna Heisman wants to connect with you, and she sent you a message, and you just came back from a conference, and you look at it, and oh, Joanna looks familiar to me, and yeah, it's something that I just want to click in on, and then you click in on it, and you realize that you shouldn't have clicked in on it, and you're off to the races. Because what you should have done there is you should have gone to LinkedIn, logged in, see whether or not you had a new connection that sent you a new message, right? But we're trying to kind of cut corners, save time, and sometimes that kind of lazy factor is there, and we just click into the message, which we know inherently is wrong. And then from a distracted perspective, listen, I think the pandemic taught us that distraction, we are at the height of it, right? And so I remember, coming back from the office and being in a home office and my husband being in his home office and having kids that were out of school because the schools were shut down and they were online learning. And then, the Amex guys at the door and the phones ringing and the lawn guys outside. And all of this lends itself to your attention and taking your attention from what it should be on. And so we all can be distracted and then just lacking the knowledge, right? Yeah, I get that. I've had this training. I know it, right? And so, I think it's important to just kind of pause and say, am I taking shortcuts? Am I not paying attention? And do I really know what I need to know? Because what if everyone knew what to do? And what if everyone just knew what to do instinctively, right? Like, birds flying south for the winter. What if that happened? Well, there are 3 things within your program that you need to look at in order to make your program a strong one and to make it effective, right? And the first one is, we talked a little bit about this already. It's the security culture, right? Understanding across your entire organization and determining the requirements for specific messaging, delivery, information, and how that's going to be disseminated. Because when you really look at it, what your employees know, when, they understand how to apply what you're teaching them to their overall role, is important. And then, as I mentioned, what they see, are they seeing, friends and colleagues and C-level executives? Are they seeing them role model in that capacity, or is it getting in the way of the business that they're conducting? Is what they hear the same thing as what they're expected to do? And sometimes they're told to do something by policy, but see other people that aren't necessarily following that. And then, are they being communicated within the workplace, specifically secure messaging? And then how do they feel about that? Do they feel that they're behaving in a more secure manner and that their personal posture is stronger, right, as a result of all of this? Well, again, that starts at day one. So driving that more secure behavior and raising the readiness level of your employees so that they can then be able to detect, report, and respond to attacks is critical. Recommendation number 2, leverage attack simulation products, just like phishing simulations, to help you identify kind of those out-of-pocket risks. And I shared this with you too about the, increasing the frequency by which you not only teach, but test, and decreasing the time that they spend in it, right? And so when we're looking kind of the most common phishing attacks, none of this will be a surprise to you. Fake invoices, your package is being delivered. And oh, by the way, we're entering the holiday season now where there's a lot of online shopping. And so the messaging is going to be coming heavy and hard. And keep in mind, it's not, we're not just talking, US based cyber criminals, we're talking Russia and Iran and China. And we're talking about people who are very good at this. And, frankly, trillions of dollars every year are made in this cybercrime industry. And it is an industry. So just, be very on guard about what you're getting and what you're clicking into. And also take this to social media, right? Because within social media, TikTok shop and, within Facebook where you can buy things, and they offer these really great prices on things, and it's too good to be true. And if it is too good to be true, most likely it is. And, then they're coming after you in SMS text. Click here to find out when your package delivery date is updated to. Yeah, of course. I get, 20 packages a day, and I want to know, why is this one delayed, and when am I going to get it, because it was a gift for someone, right? And so they're going to be pulling all the punches now, right, to get you to engage, to get you to click, to get you to respond. And so you just need to be on, high alert. And when you realize that there is, an attack coming your way, what to do with that particular attack. And then the third piece is communicate, right? And so it's, leverage all the tools that you have to be able to communicate across your broader organization, whether it's digital banners across your intranet site, whether it's, leveraging real estate on other departmental messaging. It shouldn't just be coming from the security team. Go where your employees are, right? Those water cooler places. And then, in closing, there's just some things that you can do from a personal perspective, right? And this is the slide that I usually get people rolling their eyes, right? And because we're talking about fundamental things. Well, think about it in the realm of sports, right? You're going back to the fundamentals is always going to win you the game, is always going to help you improve your skills, right? And so avoiding strange links, right? Don't click on things. Don't access documents that you're not certain about. Use unique passwords. I can probably guess that most of your passwords start with a capital letter followed by a series of lowercase letters, and then some numbers, and then a character. And if we ask you to change it, then you're going to probably change the character. But we're creatures of habit, so you're probably using the same password across lots of different, apps or bank sites or whatever. And so understand that, passwords are very easy to crack. And so, the lengthier, the more challenging it is for the hacker to be able to get to, obviously the better off. And using a password manager is a great way to do that. Secure Wi-Fi is listening. Travel, we're going to be all of us traveling a lot during the holiday season, and it's very, very tempting to jump on Wi-Fi's, whether it's in hotels or airports or Starbucks. Just understand that if you're, at a Starbucks and, you're waiting for one of your friends and they're running late and you decide to jump on your handheld device because you want to get caught up on either social media or some work, and you jump on Starbucks secure Wi-Fi with a number 1 behind it, but that's not actually Starbucks secure Wi-Fi. But what you've just jumped on is something that a cyber criminal just hooked up about 5 minutes before you walked into the cafe and is sitting across from you and is, stealing all of your data. So, just watch, VPN's good, multi-factor authentication better, right? The more layers you can put in, the better off you are. But again, nothing is 100%. So, my default is always not to do versus to do. Being a human firewall, again, never making assumptions, staying alert, thinking critically and really slowing down. I think we all use the see something, say something, but following policies, right? When you go across, kind of this dynamic here, this is all stuff that makes sense. But if it makes sense, it's too easy perhaps, and it's not what I should be doing. Well, that's actually the opposite, right? And so here it's the fundamentals. It's thinking more, slowing down, thinking more critically, taking your time to look at something, not being reactive. When you're getting messaging, make sure what you're accessing is, what you should be accessing, leveraging lots of different layers of protection, using multi-factor authentication, right? So all of these things will benefit you in the long run. Because security doesn't have to be hard. Know that cyber criminals are going to keep coming after the human. We are their easiest access point. However, we all can strengthen our ability to combat all of these cyber attacks by knowing more and practicing more and sharing more of what we know. And so I'll thank you from my perspective. It's been a pleasure spending this time with you. Again, you can access more on knowbefore.com, and take care.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Anna. That was such an interesting conversation. And I love that we got some very helpful tips and points for us as organizations, but also just great information as humans. I think that was so important and informative. My brain is still buzzing and lit up from that, Joanna. I was on the edge of my seat. Well, as everyone knows, I stand during these presentations. So I was on the edge of my standing mat the entire time. That was really fascinating. Thank you so much for that. I do want to point out that we have we call it a poll, but it's kind of, I guess this time of year, more of a holiday shopping list, right? And what we're wondering is what additional information you would like to get from KnowBe4. I got to tell you, I find the KnowBe4 presentations fascinating every time we get to speak with one of their industry leaders or thought experts. Joanna, you were no exception today. And there's so much more to learn. This is a really fascinating team and company, and I would highly recommend that you spend some time getting to know them a little bit more after we wrap up the conversation, if you haven't already done so. And if you have, hey, revisit. So click on the screen right now, let them know what would be helpful for the KnowBe4 team to send your way so that you can read a little bit more once we head out of the webinar here. Another way that you can get a little bit more information is by visiting the handouts tab. So if you visit that handouts tab, you can find a link there that's going to take you over to a page exploring the future of human risk management. And this is the KnowBe4 HRM Plus. So get to know this innovative approach to human risk management, integrating AI, a whole host of comprehensive security products. And you can find out, and I love this tagline, discover why 47 of the world's top 50 cybersecurity companies trust KnowBe4. How's that? That's the 4 out of 5 dentists agree right there. So go find out why 47 of the world's top 50 cybersecurity companies trust KnowBe4. Learn a little bit more about their human risk management system. And I definitely recommend exploring that a little bit. I'm seeing some high fives coming in from all of you out there. Gabriel and Adam, I love that. I'm so glad you enjoyed the presentation from Joanna. I really, as I said, genuinely and truly enjoyed that as well. I am going to now, while I give you guys a chance to click on the handouts and to go through that holiday shopping list on your screen right now and tell KnowBe4 what you're looking for, the Santa of KnowBe4, I am going to give away some prize. I will also play Santa today. I have $300 Amazon gift cards that we are going to give away to 3 lucky winners here live and present at the webinar. Our 3 winners today are Adam Fenton from Georgia. That's Adam Fenton from Georgia. Ramsey Okuma from Nevada. Ramsey Okuma from Nevada, and Malind Hameen from California. Malind Hameen from California. I'm going to read that one more time. Adam Fenton from Georgia, Ramsey Okuma from Nevada, and Malind Hameen from California. Congratulations to you three. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after we wrap up the EcoCast today. So stay tuned for that. Now, don't forget, we do have that best question gift card as well. So we will be reviewing all of the questions asked of the Know Before team before we decide. So we're not just going with top of the list. We're going to go with the best question. And the competition is so fierce today. You guys really had your thinking caps on. We got some great questions in. So we will go through all of those and follow up with that best question after we've wrapped up. Again, that's a $50 Amazon gift card coming your way for that. All right. And on that note, any questions that we didn't get to today? I know Joanna was moving through a lot of information very quickly, and we are going to have to wrap up the EcoCast, but you will get responses back from the Know Before team. We're going to send all those questions on to the team, and you will get answers back via email. So stay tuned for that. And if you still have a question that you haven't gotten into the questions tab, there's time. Get that question in, and we will make sure we get you an answer. All right. Well, with that, we're going to start bringing things to a close, which is too bad because, boy, I could keep going with this all day. I love hanging out with you guys. It's been a minute since I've gotten to be on an EcoCast with all of you, so I feel like I've just sort of returned home to all my wonderful EcoCast friends here. It's been great hanging with you, all of you. And hey, if you are sitting out there and thinking that you might have a story that you'd like to tell on an EcoCast, a MegaCast, a summit, any sort of future webinar, please do reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us at connect@actualtechmedia.com and we can get that conversation rolling. Yeah, I know, Michael. It was short and sweet today. Michael says we're hopping in, we're hopping out, we're packing a punch, we're getting you back on your day. That's how we're rolling today. You know when it's a busy time of year, right? Well, here's a slightly longer event that you can come back and join us in for if you've got a little more time in your day. And this one, as you can see, talk about packing a punch. We have a MegaCast on Wednesday, December 4th. That's going to start at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking about disaster recovery and backup in the cloud. Obviously, that's going to be a fascinating conversation. You can see from the list of presenters there, we're going to have an all-star cast. So that is definitely worth putting on your calendar. Wednesday, December 4th, that's noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Come back and join us for the MegaCast. All right, well, my friends, I am sorry to say that we're going to leave things there, but I hope that you've enjoyed your time with us today. I hope you've enjoyed taking a little break and coming to chit chat with me. I know I was happy to see all of you here, and especially I want to pass on a big thank you to Know Before for making this EcoCast possible. Definitely to Joanna for bringing some really fascinating insight and information, again, to us as members of an organization and members of the human world that we live in, right? This is what we're all thinking about and should be thinking about on a regular basis. And so there were some great tips and tricks for us in our teams and in our lives. And I hope that you're walking away feeling all sparkly and lit up and ready to continue chatting about those things in your day-to-day lives. Carry that information forward. Keep those conversations rolling when you head back to your offices and into your living rooms, or if you're working from home, go chat your cat's ear off about building the best and most robust cybersecurity program. And water your plants. If you haven't watered your house plants today, this is your second call to action. First, review your security plans. Second, water your house plants. Well, on that note of wisdom, I will leave you all today. I hope that I get to see you at a webinar again soon. And until then, have an absolutely beautiful end to your day. Thanks all.